Привет из Дубая. С вами передача «ГолубьМира», где разбираем крутые навыки. Спрашиваем на английском, отвечаем на русском. Подтягивайте язык или смотрите перевод в тайм-кодах. Let's talk about theory of constraints and let's start with the definition.
Maxim, maybe it would be the podcast. I will use very often Russian words, and I'm hoping for your help. Theory of constraints is very new theory. Was written in the book of uh, I forgot the author, but it was like in Russian language it was цель 1, цель 2, цель 3. Maybe in English it was aim. It was a book about plant and about director of the plant, and he often has a lack of resources, but he found the way how to overcome it. And it is very thin books, and when you read, you understand how many constraints you have when you have even a large company under your command, and it is very funny. And if you, for example, would be an admiral and you will live on a big warship, you have too many pilots, you have too many sailors, you have dozens of barrels of oils, but anyway, you will always have constraints. And when I was having internet magazine, it was largest in my country. I was having IT company which were with huge amount of programmers. Each time I was thinking, now I have enough resources, enough forces, enough brains. But in 1 or 2 months, I was finding clients which were demanding much more than I have. So constraints, maybe it's part of our life.
So what are the main theses or even the fundamentals or principles of such theory?
Let's make a trick. When I was first time visiting a gym in school, there were some guys who was playing basketball. And I was living in a village, and suddenly I realized that one of them was running on the wall to put the ball in the basket. So he was using the wall to climb higher. And I was thinking, from one point of view, we have a very small gym. From another point of view, this like a ladder you could use. So constraints, this is not to make you frustrating. Constraint is a ladder to put you higher. Some people wanted to be their past cleaned off by parents, by some forces. And other people, they like to have fences and maybe bricks and maybe even holes because they could learn how to maneuver. Let's think our life is long. We will have difficulties. We will have competitors. We will lose some time. These constraints could break us or make us stronger.
It's funny enough, I can relate to this because when I had to move, I actually had like a limited sets of the backs and the limited sets of the weights. So I had to make like a specific choices of what exactly I want to bring there in order to actually hit my ball or, achieve my goal so that, I can make the smooth transactions. So when it comes to the different levels of actually using the theory or understanding the principles and actually applying them in the real life, what possible could be possible grades be?
First grade, then you think that constraints are very heavy and you are too small and you like a sparrow and you will not fly it over. But if you will train yourself, sometime you will find that even path to the Africa is quite appropriate for you. Yes, you have a small wing, but you have a willpower. Second, you will find that much easier to go with some people, with your team. A lot of people, they think that they are lions, but lions also have, how to say staya?
Pack.
Tribe.
Tribe, pack, pride.
Tribe pack, yes. And by the way, when we talk about fish, they are saying school of fish. So when you have a school of fish or lion's tribe, you could be faster and you are well protected. But on other level, you should have tribe of tribes or team of teams. Every member of your team should have his own team. then constraints will be not so distracting, not so frustrating, not so dangerous.
Obviously, as with any theory of the concept, there might be like a misuse or a misunderstanding. So what are the common mistakes people make when it comes to the practical aspect of this skill?
It is easy to say while we sit just close to our Zoom, to a webcam, that everything is possible. But every person in life on each stage has some difficulties, sometimes with health, sometimes with mood, sometimes with spouse, or with children. And you could think that it is a problem. But from other point, there is a saying, if you feel a pain, you are alive. If you have constraint, you are moving.
So, and when it comes to using this theory, like for the maybe some sort of like a practical things, let's say when it comes to business, when it comes to life, or like a corporate processes and whatever, what might be the applicable examples?
Yes, it's quite good. When you have an orientiers, is there is a word in English, an orientier?
Probably could be a goals or aims or
If you have
beacons.
if you have aims, it is easier to play in darts. You just put your small arrow and you throw it in aim. If you will hit, for example, 10, it's okay, you are a winner. If you will have 9, you should train. If you have 8, you should not play close to the public. You should play, for example, in your garage. But anyway, to play in darts, it is already a game. You are already taking part in something that is bigger than just beer and peanuts.
And the last question will be about how knowing about the theory of the constraints could help make this world a better place.
Constraints, it's quite good. When you have your path through the maze, sometimes you will hit the walls, but walls will help you to understand, is your do you have a clear vision how to go? There is a small rule we learn on skill algorithm. This would be much easier to go through the maze if you touching all the time a wall by the right or by the left hand. So if you couldn't touch the constraints, you couldn't find your path.
Понимайте свои границы и используйте их эффективно для того, чтобы решить задачу. А мы рассмотрели теорию ограничений и чем она полезна именно вам. Всем мира!